Acharya Stota Sata Shri Srimad Abhay Chanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhradika Acharya Ashtota Sata Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Deha Vikasa Swami Nityanamane. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, Text 28. So, I will read the verse and the translation of text 26 and 27, and then we will chant, we'll recite 28 together. Sattvam chasya vinirbhinnam mahandhishnyam upavishat chittenam shena yenasau vijnanam pratipadyate. Thereafter, when his consciousness separately manifested itself, the total energy, Mahatattva, entered with his conscious part. Thus the living entity is able to perceive specific knowledge. Shirshnosya dhyaudhara padbhyam kham udapadyata gunanam vrittayo yeshu pratiyante suradhayah. Thereafter, from the head of the gigantic form, the heavenly planets were manifested, and from his legs, the earthly planets, and from his abdomen, the sky separately manifested themselves. Within them, the demigods and others were also manifested in terms of the modes of material nature. Atyantikena satvena divam devah prap. Oh, this we are chanting together, sorry. Okay, word to word. Atyantikena satvena divam devaha prapedire dharam rajaha swabhavena panayaha ye cha tan anu atyantikena satvena atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu panayo ye chatananu atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu. Please repeat. Atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu atyantikena satvena divam devah prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena Panayo ye chatananu. Matajis. Atyantikena satvena Divam deva prapedire Dharam rajasvabhavena Panayo ye chatananu. Atyantikena satvena Divam deva prapedire Dharam rajasvabhavena Anayo ye chatananu. Atyantikena, excessive. Satvena, by the mode of goodness. Divam, in the higher planets. Devaha, the demigods. Prapedire, have been situated. Dharam, on the earth. Rajaha, the mode of passion. Swabhavena, by nature. Parnayaha, the human being. Ye, all those. Cha, also. Tan, there. Anu, subordinate. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The demigods, qualified by the super excellent quality of the mode of goodness, are situated in the heavenly planets, whereas the human beings, because of their nature in the mode of passion, live on earth in company with their subordinates. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 14:14-15, it is said that those who are highly developed in the mode of goodness are promoted to the higher heavenly planetary system, and those who are overpowered by the mode of passion are situated in the middle planetary systems, the earth and similar planets. But those who are surcharged with the mode of ignorance are degraded to the lower planetary systems or to the animal kingdom. The demigods are highly developed in the mode of goodness, and thus they are situated in the heavenly planets. Below human beings are the animals, although some of them mingle with human society. Cows, horses, dogs, etc. are habituated to live under the protection of human beings. The word atyantikena is very significant in this verse. By development in the mode of goodness of material nature, one can become situated in the heavenly planets. But by excessive development of the modes of passion and ignorance, the human being indulges in killing the animals who are meant to be protected by mankind. Persons who indulge in unnecessary animal killing have excessively developed in the modes of passion and ignorance and have no hope of advancing to the mode of goodness. They are destined to be degraded to the lower statuses of life. The planetary systems are calculated as upper and lower in terms of the classes of living entities who live there. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Laitha Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Atyantikena satvena divam deva prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatanano. The demigods, qualified by the super excellent quality of the mode of goodness, are situated in the heavenly planets, whereas the human beings, because of their nature in the mode of passion, live on earth in company with their subordinates. So here, the gigantic universal form is now manifesting the various planets, the various living entities, and it's quite amazing that
all of this happens by the will of the Supreme Lord. Matter by itself has no independent ability to act of its own accord. The Supreme Lord has to enter and pervade everything for matter to function, for matter to act. And this is extremely important to understand because modern scientists think that matter acts of its own accord. Reactions, chemical reactions, all of these things happen of its own accord. But this universal form demonstrates to us that it's not just, the Supreme Lord doesn't just enter once. He keeps dividing himself, keeps entering into every single manifestation of material nature, as can be seen here. When you read these verses, you'll repeatedly see Supreme Lord divides, enters. Supreme Lord divides, enters. And that happens again and again because nothing can exist without the Supreme Lord being present there. So, therefore, nothing happens in this world without the Supreme Lord sanctioning it. Even something as random as a forest fire. It all has to happen because the Supreme Lord is there. When the Supreme Lord is not inside matter, when He's not pervading that matter is pradhana. It is just inert matter. It just exists in a state. That's it. This is what we see in the process of creation, that when Mahavishnu breathes in all the universes and the ultimate pralaya happens, where all the universes are completely destroyed and the living entities enter back into Mahavishnu and are put in a state known as susupti. They're put in a state of deep slumber. So in that state, you will find that matter just doesn't do anything. It just exists. It exists in its primordial state. What the scientists think is the primordial soup. That's the primordial soup. It just exists. Although, maybe that word soup is not so appropriate. I don't even know where they came up with that concept, primordial soup. But the point is that matter cannot exist or act of its own accord. Now, here, Srila Prabhupada is referring to the verse, and anybody know that verse? Bhagavad Gita 14:14. No? Famous verse? About who goes where? Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganya gunavrittistha, adho gachanti tamasaha. This is the verse that Srila Prabhupada is referring to. It's a very important verse. That those in the mode of goodness go to the heavenly planets, those in the mode of passion stay on the same earthly plane, and those in the mode of ignorance go down to the lower species. So, Srila Prabhupada, and you see in the verse over here, it is said that human beings, because of their nature of passion, live on earth in company with their subordinates. And Srila Prabhupada explained what those subordinates are. What are the subordinates? Anybody paid attention to the verse? The animals. What animals? Cows, horses, dogs, etc. Now this is an extremely important point, and our vegan friends don't understand this. That it is by design that certain animals will always live around humans. Now look at modern society, how messed up it is. They bring animals that are not meant to live with human beings, like zebras, penguins, all kinds of creatures that are not meant to be living around human beings. What is the hippopotamus, the rhinoceros, and all this kind of. They don't live around, they don't like human beings. They want to live away from human beings. They bring them in the middle of the city, put them in a zoo and put them in an enclosure, and then you have so many human beings walking, seeing them in their enclosures. But then, the animals that are actually, and they go and protect these animals who don't need the protection of human beings. They just need to be left alone. As long as you leave them alone and you leave their habitats alone, they're fine. The penguins are fine, the polar bears are fine, the koalas are fine, just leave them. But they won't leave them. They'll bring that panda, make him sit there, make a cartoon of him and all that. But instead, the animals that are supposed to be the subordinates of human beings, like cows, and then there are many other animals, the goats, sheep, these are all animals that live around human beings. They will live around human beings always. Dogs also. Dogs, and then here horses, yeah. They kill them. You may not think that they kill dogs here, but they kill them in China. So, they kill them. They kill the cow. They kill the animals that are actually, see, chickens, they will always live around humans. They'll always live around humans. And they kill them. Chickens won't live in the forest because they can't survive there. They'll live around human beings. They need the protection of human beings. The chicken protects itself from all its predators in the forest because they're all big, big predators, and chicken's an easy target. It protects itself by living in human society. And it lives among human beings. Because the human beings are not going to let the lion or the tiger come into the village. So the chicken also lives there. Same thing with the goats. And human beings, and these animals are amazing. Just like donkeys also, same thing. But and if you analyze Krishna's wonderful creature, these animals are not just there like freeloaders. There are certain animals that are freeloaders, but then there's like rats. So those animals have natural predators within human society, known as the cats. And so they have their use. The cat is, it was such a revelation to me when I went to India that cats are allowed to go into the deity rooms, and it's bona fide. And I saw it. I was sitting in Simachalam, and the cat flies out of the altar. You remember that? The cat came out right out of the altar. I was like so shocked. The pujaris was just doing their morning like puja and this and that. We couldn't go. We're human beings. We're sitting outside. The cat goes freely inside and outside. I was like, wow, this cat's more fortunate, more elevated than I am. So they all have use. They all have their use. This is Krishna's wonderful creation. It's Krishna's and okay, you may think, so snakes also, but then there's a natural predator for the snake, which is the peacock. And the peacock is an animal that has beauty. It creates beauty for the human. It's just amazing how the peacock creates this amazing beauty around in villages, and it creates that village atmosphere. And the peacock's feather can be used for decorating Krishna. It can be used for making fan for Krishna. This modern civilization, these people are such big rascals. They have completely messed up, completely forgotten Krishna's amazing creation, and where's the root of all their problems? It comes from their bogus philosophy that humans have dominion over animals and therefore they can kill them. This dominion over animals is what is being said over here, that they live on earth in company with their subordinates. But these people don't understand this. Krishna's wonderful creation is such that human beings are meant to live around these animals. These animals have use for human beings. And the animals have use for the human beings. We have use for the animals, and the animals have use for the human beings. And by creating such an atmosphere that is in line with the Supreme Lord's desires, the human being can peacefully advance to the mode of goodness and thus elevate himself. This is the whole process. This is the wonderful creation of the Supreme Lord. And it's therefore the village atmosphere is conducive for Krishna consciousness. It is conducive for cultivating the mode of goodness, because it is the system that the Supreme Lord has created. We don't have to, we just like right now, we live in the city, and there's so many problems, and so we have all these rats and we don't know what to do with them. Want to try to get the cat, but then the problem is that the way we will view those cats is we view them as pets. They are these animals. You can say that the horses, dogs, and the cows are all pets, but they have their role in Vedic culture. The cat is allowed to go into the deity room, but you will not find brahmanas keeping cats on their lap and cuddling them, kissing them, and all that. You won't see this. The cat has its role, it has its place. The dog has its place, which is outside the house. But it's fed, it's taken care, it's provided, everything, but it has its place. The dog will, the funny thing is, the animals when taught, they'll recognize their place and stay in their place. The human being is the only one who has this freedom of the Supreme, to choose to follow the Supreme Lord. The animals will follow obediently. It's the human beings who are disobedient. So what? So what, Prabhu? It's okay. My dog loves me. I'll kiss it in its mouth. No. So this, and see what is the problem. In modern society, because you don't have this proper village atmosphere where there are natural predators, you have to call the exterminator, you have to pay him so much money, and then to pay him so much money, and he dumps a bunch of chemicals, and then that chemical has to get manufactured, and that when that manufacturing process, so much ugra karma is happening, and in the meantime you're working hard like a donkey to pay him. So it's all in the mode of passion. All the mode of passion, all the mode of ignorance. It is so important for us to understand these aspects. At least let us theoretically understand it. We are so far away, but let us theoretically at least understand how this system works. Then we may develop a desire, and we may think, how can we implement, how can we show people, you are living, what are you living? Stupid fellows, your philosophy is all completely bogus, You have the zoo and you kill the cow. And in the zoo they will teach you that you can eat beef nicely. This is nutritious, la 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 la, all that kind of stuff. Why you bring the shark, put it in a big thing, and you have to go and walk through and all this. You see that Georgia aquarium, it stinks, it's so bad. We went there. They had some VR experience. Okay, let's see what that is. I didn't like it, but then you saw the other nasty things inside that aquarium. And this is nature. They forgot nature. What is nature? Nature is village life, Vrindavan life, that's nature. Krishna and the cowherd boys didn't go and see sharks in this and that. They didn't do all this kind of stupid stuff. Now, if you raise a child and you don't take him to the zoo, your neighbors will think you're a crazy person. You didn't take your kids to the zoo? Why don't you take the kids to the zoo? What's wrong with taking them to the zoo? It's okay. If you lived without learning what the hippopotamus does, what are you going to lose in life? The hippopotamus doesn't know about you and is fine. Why do you have to know about the hippopotamus? This is all mode of passion and ignorance. This is why I'm speaking about. It's not just criticism, but this mode of passion and ignorance. See, Prabhupada is saying, by excessive development in the modes of passion and ignorance, the human being indulges in killing and healing animals who are meant to be protected by mankind. Persons who engage in unnecessary animal killing have excessively developed in the modes of passion and ignorance and have no hope of advancing to the mode of goodness. They are destined to be degraded to the lower statuses of life. They bring the zoo, they don't understand. They are going to be like that. They are going to go and live in the jungle. They're going to bring the zoo here. They don't understand this. And how ironical it is that in the zoo they teach you to protect animals, protect nature, this, that, and then you can go and buy, you can go buy a steak in the food court. How ironical. And that very meat eating is the greatest cause of pollution in the world today. And they're talking of protection. They're talking of protection of animals. They're talking of preserving nature. Hypocrites. So this rascal civilization, nobody calls this out. Nobody says anything. Nobody says anything about it. We've never heard it. If Prabhupada didn't tell us, we would never know about it. It's wild, it's insane. So we as devotees have a duty. We have a duty to not think that we have to go along with the civilization. We have a duty to speak about this, we have a duty to write about this, we have a duty to demonstrate an alternative way of life. This is our solemn duty. It's a very, very important thing. And if we don't cultivate that, it affects us also. Because we become influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. One of the qualities of the mode of goodness is that the gates of the body are illuminated by what? By knowledge. What does that mean? The gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. It means, so what are the gates of the body? The gates of the body, so the gates of the body refer to the different senses. And they're illuminated by knowledge. Which means, so what are one of the gates? One of the gates is the mouth. Right? Another gate is the ear. So you have these different gates of the body. And you have the knowledge acquiring senses. So you have the jnanendriyas. They're called jnanendriya because they are meant to acquire knowledge. But one who is in the modes of passion and ignorance cannot acquire knowledge. What he gains? He gains avidya, which is not termed knowledge. Avidya is termed as ignorance, even though it's called vidya. There is some kind of material knowledge there. And by gaining that knowledge, all he thinks about is his personal sense. It only furthers his mode of ignorance and passion. But one who's in the mode of goodness, whatever he absorbs, he sees it in line with dharma. This is mode of goodness. Mundane mode of goodness, he sees everything in line with dharma. See, when Srila Prabhupada arrived in the West, in his song Markine Bhagavata Dharma, he says, Rajastamo, what is that? Rajastamo, hate, Rajastamo, now suddenly I am forgetting. Rajastamo hate tabe, paiben istar, no. Rajastamo guner sabai achana, Vasudeva Kataruchi nahi se prasanna. Yeah, it comes twice. That's right. So he says that everyone, he hasn't even got down from the ship yet. And Prabhupada is saying everybody in this Western civilization, they're influenced, they're completely immersed in the modes of passion and ignorance. Vasudeva Kataruchi nahi se prasanna. For them, they will not be pleased to hear the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does that mean? That this doesn't mean that anybody with, who's born outside India is influenced by mode of passion and ignorance, because that is true. But it also refers to anybody who's attracted to the Western civilization, which refers to practically most of the Indians also. Any Indian who decides to come to the West is not in the mode of goodness, period. If you didn't come for preaching Krishna consciousness, you're not in the mode of passion, you're not in the mode of goodness. You cannot step in this sinful place. What do you have to do with all these people? Why? What is there to get attracted? I mean, I'm speaking for myself. Attracted to Indians love technology. Oh, technology. So fascinated. Oh, just see how wonderful this is. You see that skyscraper, how that elevator goes from the bottom floor to the top floor in 5 minutes, and they glorify. You can know the Indians, they always talk, my grandfather talks about this. They love it. That means what? Influenced by mode of passion and ignorance. And therefore, when they look at these things, it only increases their mode of passion and ignorance. Whereas somebody who is actually in the mode of goodness, he would not be attracted by this because he understands it's just completely an arrangement for sinful activities. And they won't have anything to do with it. They won't want to come. You can see, Srila Prabhupada is in the mode of purified goodness. He's not in the mode of, he's in the state of Vasudeva Sattvam. So, in the state of purified goodness, Shuddha Sattva, and Srila Prabhupada is sitting under the Brooklyn Bridge thinking, when can I go to Vrindavan? He's not thinking, sitting down. So many people sit under the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a tourist spot. You got that riverside walk or something. I don't know, something there's there. This is the East River, whatever. So, it's like I've myself been in that place. It's very beautiful and this and that. You see all these skyscrapers and this and that, and people take photographs. And Prabhupada, he's not attracted by these buildings. He's not attracted by all these things. And therefore, a devotee, see, one who is in the mode of mundane goodness, such as, in Vedic culture, the Brahmanas, they see things from the perspective of dharma. They're like, no, I don't want to associate with this because I will be influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance and I cannot proceed to the heavenly planets. I lose my pious credit. How can I perform pious activities? I will be influenced by sin. And if I be influenced by sin, my next birth is going to be miserable. This birth will be miserable. So they're not attracted. But a devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, he says this is nothing connected. I don't want, like if I cannot execute the mission of my spiritual master, he says, let me go back to Vrindavan. They see everything in that light. And that's why it's important for devotees to also cultivate that mode of goodness, because from the mode of goodness one can go to the mode of purified goodness. Because you start to acquire things, just like a person in the mode of goodness can understand, if I eat things that I'm not supposed to eat, I'm going to suffer. I don't need to eat more than I need to maintain this body. And to maintain this body, I need to eat something. My tongue wants pleasure, this, that, and he can notice, my tongue is really attracted to this item, just see. He can perceive things with that knowledge, as the other person has no perception. The other person perceives what his senses are attracted to as his need. His senses attracted to a beautiful car. I need that. He thinks it's his need. That's how much in the mode of passion, that's what happens in the passion and ignorance. The knowledge acquiring senses don't actually give knowledge, they are simply impetus for the mind to degrade into the mode of passion and ignorance. In the mode of ignorance, the fellow doesn't even see that. The person in the mode of passion gets triggered. The mode of ignorance, the fellow, you can't trigger him anything. Such tamaguni, what can trigger him? Can you get triggered, please? Can we excite you in some way? It's true. Sometimes you mean, that's the mode of ignorance. It's just, always lamentation, always sleep, And that we see that sometimes with devotees also, right? We get mental and nothing. Devotees are happy. And it's like, because the sense is that nothing's triggering anymore. Everything is just like it's all like blocked with lumps of ignorance. All this is just like, big rocks inside all the gates. Rocks of big ignorance. So his devotee is like, snap out of this. Why are you so moded out? It's like, you can't, it's like, so it gets stuck. It's like constipation. It's constipation in all the gates. So nothing goes in. Mode of ignorance is really miserable. So mode of passion, the knowledge acquiring senses are more like triggers. They trigger one. And those triggers the fellow thinks is his need. This is my need. I need this, I need that, I need to go there, I need to do that, I must do this, I must do that, I must get a lot of wealth, I must get a lot of, fame, glory, this, that, possessions, unnecessary things. So he gets triggered and he thinks them as his needs and he's very convinced about it. And same thing happens with us. We look at something immediately, we want it. And it's tough because we have to, When you want to advance to the mode of goodness, there's actually the people in the mode of goodness, you will see they actually reject more things than they accept. Because why? Because by nature, those in the mode of goodness, they have to be more renounced. Is it not? More renounced means more things you're rejecting, not accepting. You cannot. If you want to be in the mode of goodness, you have to live a simple life, which means you're rejecting so many things. You can't say that you are going to be in the mode of goodness and keep acquiring, and want this and next thing, and get so many possessions. You can't. And that's a difficult thing. I have to reject more. That means the process of rejection is it's not fun. The process of getting triggered is pretty fun. But then the person in the mode of goodness knows that after the trigger there is only misery. So let me accept the misery of rejection in the beginning. I may not want, my tongue really wants this. And I know I don't need it. I'm done. But the tongue really wants it. Or the tongue really wants to say something. It really just wants to say it. Because when I say it, I feel it. And I said it. And then what happens after that? Simply misery. How many times has our tongue made ourselves a big fool? But we're so eager to just say it. But the person in the mode of goodness will receive knowledge. And say, listen, if you say it, you're going to suffer. Don't say it. You know what happened when you said that last time? Don't say it. What is that? What's that? Yettarad agre vishamiva pariname mirthopamam tatsukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Chapter 18. That yettarad agre vishamiva, that it feels like poison in the beginning. Pariname mritopamam, but it transforms into nectar. Tatsukam satvikam proktam, that happiness is termed as happiness in the mode of goodness. And what does it do? Atma buddhi prasadajam. One prasada, this word prasada is a very, very important word in Bhagavad Gita. It's worth the analysis of it, how Krishna is using this word prasad in Bhagavad Gita. It's mercy. Atma buddhi. One receives self-realization. It bestows self-realization upon the person. Mercy, you get mercy. That prasada jam, it means that Atma buddhi, that from the mercy is born. Jam, ja, means to be born. As we have this, you will see Prabhupada is referring to Swedaja, Andaja, Udbijaja. So the living entities are born from different manifestations of material nature. Some are born from sweat, anda, some are born from eggs, some are born from wombs. So like this, that word ja means born, appears. So prasadajam, means from mercy, self-realization is born. Krishna consciousness is not something that you can earn. It has to appear. So Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. From that, one gets Atma Buddhi. Therefore, the mode of goodness for one who is in Krishna consciousness is the stepping stone to the mode of transcendental goodness, Krishna consciousness. Which is why in Krishna consciousness, you can see there is anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam, that you have to reject things that are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. But to do that and to accept things that are favorable to Krishna consciousness, one has to have some knowledge. One has to act in the mode of goodness. So that mode of goodness can be developed in two ways. One thoroughly understands Shastra, understands by knowledge and by association. Of course, both are developed in the association of devotees, but one may be inclined to learn things in a more philosophical way and thus develops that firm faith. The other is simple-hearted. They follow the instructions and they develop that. Mode of goodness and transcendental goodness. Because they just follow the instructions. They just follow. My Guru Maharaj says, Prabhupada says, Krishna says, let me do it, finished. I know I have to do this. If I don't do it, it's not going to be good for me. He may not know all the analysis of how exactly it is bad for him, but he knows that it's bad for him and he won't do it. That's all, finished. But one who is neither simple-hearted nor who is intelligent, he is in a very dangerous situation. And to be honest, that is the situation that most of the living entities in Kali Yuga are. We are in a situation where we are not that intelligent. Otherwise, how do you know how intelligent you are? If you go and understand what the Brahminical intelligence that comes in traditional paramparas, then you will understand that we don't know anything actually. We are not that smart. We are not that educated. We can make ourselves, by reading Prabhupada's books thoroughly, we can become more expert than these traditional Brahmanas. But we have to understand that our birth doesn't signify that high level of intelligence. It doesn't. And it requires a level of humility, which means that one has to be somewhat simple-hearted to accept one's degraded position. By accepting that degraded position, one becomes subservient to the acharyas. And by becoming subservient to the acharyas, one becomes perfect. This is Lord Chaitanya's process. But someone who's puffed up, it's just very difficult for them to transcend the modes of passion and ignorance. They cannot accept who they are. And when they are pointed out who they are, they get so upset. It's a very, very tough pill to swallow, who we actually are. A person who's simple-hearted can easily accept this. And and Shastra repeatedly glorifies those who take that subordinate position because they are fortunate. They don't have to go through the trouble that the other party has to go through to gain all this knowledge and become so qualified and become so learned and Brahminical and Pakka, and the simple party becomes Brahminical simply by following. Then Atma Buddhi Prasajajam, then self-realization comes and then they get knowledge also. But they didn't go through the difficult process of learning. And therefore, Shastra glorifies. Which is the best age? Kali Yuga. Which is the best birth? Which is the best Varna? Shudra. Which is the best gender? Woman. But the Shudra has to accept that he's a Shudra. The woman has to accept that that she's a woman. The woman has to accept that. What does it mean? You have to accept you're a woman. Means I'm influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. That's the nature of the woman's birth. Shudra also same thing. Influenced by the modes of ignorance primarily. And we need protection. We are also Shudra. Kalau Shudra Sambhavan. We are all Shudras. Born in Kali Yuga. We have to accept that. And it's not just theoretical acceptance, it's actually understanding what flavor of a rascal am I? This is important. By at least accepting that, then we will develop that humility and understand that we need this mercy. We need this mercy of self-realization. And therefore, we all have to collectively work, always, individually in our own personal lives and collectively, to establish the mode of goodness. This is Srila Prabhupada's Varnashram Dharma. But it's not just in the farm, it is in the temple also. The temple also has to be in the mode of goodness. When you're living here, you live in the ashram. In all this, we have to cultivate that mode of goodness in multiple ways. So that, and therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, all this description is given, the characteristics of the mode of goodness and things like that. Because it will elevate us. Urdhvam gachanti satvastha, we need to be elevated. And if we do that in the Krishna conscious way, we will be elevated to the spiritual world. This is our Acharya's guarantee. That our establishment of the mode of goodness is not just Varnashrama, it is Daiva Varnashrama. This will take us back home, back to Godhead. Urdhvam gachanti satvastha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. But you are doing this as devotional service for our Acharyas. Therefore it will take you Urdhvam, it will take you all the way above the material world, the material universes. Take you back home, back to Godhead. Take us to the shelter of the lotus feet of our Acharyas in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So therefore, these things are mentioned in Shastra that we should understand as mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And we should work individually and collectively to establish this, to demonstrate this. Somehow or the other, we all have to work towards that. Whatever position we are in, we can work towards it. And we must work towards it. So, I'll stop here. Any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Yes, Prabhu.
Well, Guru Maharaj just gave a class called Hypocrisy and Killing a Cat and Abortion. Yeah. And then he's quoting a judge. She's very upset that this lady ate a cat, and she's saying, "Don't you understand? This cat animals are like our children. We should take care of them. Animals are so sweet, and you've what's that? Given a country a bad name. You've given yourself a bad name. You give everyone a bad name." And she's so sad that she ate a cat. And then Guru Maharaj makes a point that right after the court meeting is over, it's quite possible that the judge most likely or most definitely ate a meal full of animals. Mm-hmm. So it's just complete. I mean, there's some weird thing where they, for some reason, think that certain animals are food and certain animals are not food. Yeah. And is there a logical reasoning behind it?
There's none. When it's in the mode of passion, it's a trigger. Then they go into the mode of ignorance, and then everything gets blocked, and they have no understanding of what the hell it is. And this is just. They act in such contradictory ways. In one sense, you might think they're very intelligent, they're speaking so much logic, but in another sense, it's completely illogical because they keep oscillating from between the modes of passion and ignorance. That's what happens.
So, because they're in the mode of passion, the discrimination is completely blocked out, basically.
Mode of ignorance.
I see.
So, when they're in the mode of passion, they seem to exhibit some kind of logic, some kind of intelligence, but it's all based on their perception of sense gratification. And then they slide into because the mode of passion leads to the mode of ignorance. They slide into their mode of ignorance, and then they find no contradiction in their activities. A person in the mode of ignorance has no contradiction.
Mm-hmm. There's. It seems like it's very thoughtfully promoted, this whole idea of eating cows, eating all these things which are against Vedic culture. It seems like the asuram bhava mashrita, the people who are on top, who are actually promoting all this feminism and all these things, they actually seems like they know what they're doing, and that's why the whole population, demoniac.
Very demoniac.
I think speaking about the three modes of mature nature, and it's like Srila Prabhupada comment what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, how now in the 14th chapter, again I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing by which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection, the three modes of mature nature. and Srila Prabhupada kind of quotes Krishna saying, well, this is very important for the devotees to understand, because by coming to this platform of mode of goodness and understanding these three modes, one can actually attain liberation. The conclusion of understanding these three modes of material nature, Srila Prabhupada says it's devotional service. And so Shivaram Maharaj has that whole series of lectures on that, and how important it is for us to kind of like you're analyzing. Just by analyzing, you can start to kind of, when you start contemplating, you can start to see these things happening in your life, and then work towards like restraining yourself and then bringing yourself up to the mode of goodness. So yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, and going back to the point about showing how animals and human beings, these animals that are meant to be subordinate to the human beings, how this wonderful symbiotic relationship exists and how it is very beneficial to human society, mainly because our needs are taken care without having to compromise the human form of life, which is actually meant for self-realization. And this is so important to demonstrate, but it's true that devotees themselves are influenced by this. And then what happens is you create these. See, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj is against having goshalas, for instance. Why? Because the goshalas, if you just have a goshala, you don't really engage the animal. It's also another display. And then the bull, you're just maintaining it as a religious symbol. The karmis are maintaining the hippopotamus in their zoo, which is their atheistic religion, where they bring the hippopotamus and they think that they're protecting nature, some weird thing like this. But we are not engaging the bull, we're just protecting it. We're not farming with it. What happens is you are wrongly conveying the opinion that the bull is a burden. The bull is not a burden. We have to demonstrate that the bull is our father and can provide for us. It's such an important thing to demonstrate. And it's so easy because we can just, in India there are so many people have so many goshalas. And then similarly, well, unfortunately, one devotee farm has donkeys on display.
Wow.
They don't milk the cow, they don't use the cow, and all this, and it's just disturbing to see this, because that's exactly what these people. You have the cow on display, but these people have something else on display. But it's all the same misconception. Krishna doesn't want them on display. You don't have to display any damn animal. It's like it can live its life, and it has its role and place. And we may not be able to perfectly establish everything in one go, but we can work towards that. We can have a plan to do it.
Interesting word Prabhupada uses is subordinate.
Yeah.
And in modern civilization, immediately that means I can exploit. So that has a connotation to that nowadays, where why do you eat meat? Well, they're subordinate to us, so we can kill them and eat them. So there is that, when that word is used here, that kind of came to my mind, that immediately means for the karmis, immediately subordinate means exploitation. That means I can eat them, I can do what I want.
The karmis have because of their selfish nature, they've corrupted all of these words, right? You say subjects. It's not a very positive word, is it? Someone is their subject, the king's subjects. It just means so. What word is positive for in English right now for somebody who is under? It doesn't exist. Someone who has a junior position. Assistant also. What is assistant? It's not a prestigious thing, is it? No. In Vedic culture, the word servant is a prestigious thing. It's right? The word bhritya is a prestigious thing. Oh, servant. Even if you say king, even in India, those who have parents, they know. And if you have they proudly say, "I was government servant." I got government servant. And people would look forward to that job, a government servant, civil servant. But this word also is corrupted. So look at the civilization that we live in. They don't even have a conception that there is a prestige. It's actually prestigious to be subordinate, in a subordinate position to someone who is worthy of praise. Being the disciple of the Spirit is such a fortunate, such a great position. So, yeah. Yes, Amir.
You told it's an interesting point about renunciation. Like the person in Sattva Gun, he's like more renounce than accept.
Yeah.
Because and we can see that many people they have renunciation. Even Mayavadi have a renunciation. Yogi have a renunciation. It's not so difficult. It's like it's like not so like very difficult. They can renounce many things even like easily. Not so easy, but even karmi can renounce even like for job. They have some renunciation. They're studying so many books,
Education they're studying.
Yes, they're studying like 10 hours daily, like 12 hours, because they have like some understanding that it will help them to get the job. And if you like have a sex, the people they can renounce so many things, but for this like a few minutes, and some people they even cannot sleep. They have they renounce everything unconsciously. They cannot sleep, they cannot eat. They're thinking only about their object of love. You can see that they like Bilvamangal Thakur. He is like running like anything. There's snakes and there's a storm and a river and everything. He completely unconsciously cannot understand because they know the object will be will be happy. It means we cannot renounce. We cannot renounce all these material attachments because we don't have the proper understanding. If you have a proper, like a Kadashi, you go the Kadashi, if you have a proper understanding, you can fasting because it's for Krishna. You love Krishna, you can fast. It's very easy. You cannot sleep like more than 6 hours or 7 hours daily because I can read Bhagavatam. I can chant more rounds. I can do more seva because you do for Krishna. Like you told, it's Daiva Varnashama. If you don't have a proper understanding for what you're doing this, it's very difficult. But if you have understanding, I'm doing it for Krishna, and Krishna is my ultimate goal, it's very easy.
Yeah. Actually, this position of see what you were mentioning about these they are the Mayavadis, the yogis, they're also renounced. You know what they can't renounce is their pride. Therefore, among the two who can develop faith in Krishna consciousness, you have one who's very learned, and then you have one who is simple-hearted, who is innocent, and by accepting his fallen position, he submits himself to the Acharya. That person is superior. Because this person who is coming after understanding, he has to, for him, this concept of becoming a subordinate is very difficult. To give up that pride is very hard. And therefore, this position of being fallen, it is so conducive to Krishna consciousness. Very easily one gets mercy in the position of humility. So humility is such an amazing quality that one should have, without which devotions are very difficult. Very difficult. It's hard. I know devotees who are very learned, they are so learned. They are so good at Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they can give amazing classes and this and that. But they have such a big problem with pride. And they struggle and suffer, and they are so capable, but they cannot, their full potency is not manifest. They could do so much more than what they are doing, but it is blocking. But on the other hand, you see sometimes a simple-hearted person, he does tremendous service. Whether tremendous service or not, the Guru is pleased like anything. That's the ultimate, We do tremendous service, but if Guru is not pleased, then it's not service, it becomes disservice. But someone does something very simple, such as fanning the spiritual master, but the spiritual master is pleased, and he may not be able to give big lectures on Bhagavatam, but he has achieved the perfection of devotional service. Okay, Ali Krishna Prabhu.
On the same subject of simple-heartedness. So, I mean, if you look, generally, like, and now in society, that would be like looked as like, this brainwashing or just, the sheep mentality and this kind of thing, and as much emphasis on individualism and, find your own purpose, your own meaning to life. You have to use your intelligence and all these things. So how do we, because you can't really go up to someone and preach to them and say, okay, well, actually, you just have to be simple-hearted and just surrender to what I say and just do exactly what I'm telling you.
Even religion today, the whole conception, this whole Protestantism, it's all like you learn the Bible and understand God in your own way. Like God will speak to you, Jesus will reveal Himself to you you don't need anybody else. It's you and Jesus, that's it. It's such a, whacked up. This is like very prominent, especially in the US, where, every house is like, it's a non-denominational church and they have their own way of doing it. The previous owners of our milk farm, they were like that, their own idea of things. So, how do you preach? You have to get them attracted to Krishna consciousness. This is, Prabhupada speaks that in Markine Bhagavata Dharma. He says right there, somehow, Krishna, if I can somehow just expose them to the message of Godhead, then they can become saved. Prabhupada's whole point, if they can just give their ear and just hear, then everything can happen. That was whole Prabhupada's process. So to figure out how to attract them to hearing, this is the challenge. That is the challenge. And that is the challenge that every generation of acharyas have faced. More so, in one sense now, because you're dealing with a culture where there's the culture of it just doesn't exist. The culture of piety, whereby somebody will give an ear and listen, it doesn't exist. So prasadam has a huge role. Kirtan, prasadam, friendship, so many things you have to do. But if we forget that the whole purpose of all of it is them to expose them to Vasudeva Katha, then everything is lost. Everything is lost. So that's the problem that's why a preacher has to be very expert. It's not easy. Anybody who just goes out there and says, I'll preach, I'll show. No, you go like that, you're doomed, you're finished, you're smashed. You will get smashed if you're going to go there and show, I'll show how to do things. I'm going to show it. Smashed. Prabhupada didn't think like that. Srila Prabhupada came to the West. He didn't think, I'm going to show my God brothers and show them, He wasn't sure he was going to do it himself. He was like, but we got to do something. Prabhus, it's like his God brothers weren't interested. Yes, Prabhu.
It's not the symptom of the society, and it's pretty much against everything that the society teaches. But if one person comes in our life who shows by example how they're simple, but they're extremely happy and satisfied.
Knowledgeable, learned, but very humble at the same time,
That's inspiring to people, actually. That people don't like puffed up people, and this is a general thing. But generally, when you meet a devotee and you see the person and he's like, oh, I want to be like that. So that Achar, our Prachar and Prachar, our behavior is what really inspires them to become simple-hearted. So, because our behavior, it inculcates all of the philosophy and everything that we've learned. So, if they see that in us, and then they see, oh, where is this getting from? And then, obviously, that's, okay, Bhagavad Gita and this is where we study chanting Hare Krishna. Naturally, they will be attracted towards that. So, the Bhagavata, the book and the person, Bhagavata, plays that big principle.
Yeah, huge role. Actually, that's a very good point, because Srila Prabhupada's initial disciples, we can say they were attracted by prasadam, but actually, they were all attracted by Srila Prabhupada. They were really attracted by him. They just did everything. They had no idea what Prabhupada was like. They thought that's Guru Maharaj says in lectures. They thought Hanuman was a cat. You know, I still can't understand how you can think Hanuman is a cat.
I mean, if you see the painting that they
saw,
had,
it does look like a cat.
like Hanuman's face is like it's not like the ones we.
Amazing. How you
They
can
still
make a
have
monkey
that.
look like a cat.
They still have that painting now in 26th Avenue.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, I saw that painting. I still would never think it's a cat.
I mean, after hearing that, then you can like.
So it's like, it's just so. Actually, Prabhupada attracted them. He attracted them by his personal character. He was, and he got them to do so many things. And so we have to be exemplary in behavior. And it just seems that until we become like that, Krishna just doesn't really open that door for us, does he? It feels like, so it's like there's personal reformation that we have to undergo in order to become carriers of the mercy of the parampara. It's a heavy thing. It's a very big responsibility. It's not given so cheaply. The Olympic torch is not just handed to anybody. It's a prestigious thing.
It's interesting because, like you're saying, you don't have to be a big Bhagavatam speaker and a big learned scholar, because so many devotees who don't know so much verses and this and that, they've made many devotees who have become scholars and so many become great devotees.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like analyzing that. Like sometimes you go into preaching thinking, well, I have to know so much. I have to know so much. I have to read and I have to understand. And that's
I have to
true.
present, I got to impress the
I have to
audience.
impress and I have to. But actually, it's that like that.
We
bhakti
just need to be a
aspect
genuine,
of,
humble servant
Exactly.
of the parampara and speak as a devotee. I don't want to speak, Prabhu. I don't know what to speak. Just repeat the message of the Acharya. You don't have to go into a whole somersault, things like just let's not speculate, nothing. Just present the message of the Acharya, and the message in itself is inspiring, and you don't have anything to do with it. Just accept that you don't obstruct it. That's all.
And people can see you're inspired by it. You're inspired by the message, and they become inspired by the message. It's like there's like sometimes we get into that backward thinking. It's important to always recalibrate.
Vamsi Prabhu raised his hand. Then I'll go. I'll go to the Mataji's also.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This sometimes in book distribution, like we want to distribute more books, and there is a lot of competition going on, and then sometimes it happens that we do a mistake preaching the person, means we offend him or something like that, and then we are not ready to accept that, and like it's not benefiting the jiva. Then how do we how do you not get moded out because of the mode of passion? Means because of the mode of passion, we are not ready to accept that we offended him, and we just go on like that only with many other individuals, and like how does this help in Krishna consciousness?
It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. It doesn't help. That's why, ultimately, you see, Krishna gives us multiple chances to kind of humble ourselves when we recognize, that we are, because other devotees will point it out to us. Krishna will never ever, there's always an opportunity for us to learn. And there's always an opportunity for things to get pointed out. Of course, another thing that we should remember is that the more time we spend in Krishna consciousness, the less Krishna is going to point things out to us from others, because we are now becoming so-called senior devotees. We better start understanding things ourselves. We better start understanding how we can how we screw things over ourselves. Otherwise, the reaction will come. So that's what eventually happens, is the devotees lose potency. They lose the ability to distribute books or something like this. It doesn't help. How to become humble? How to become? You just be humble. Like there's enough disqualifications. We have to understand that we have to become humble. But if that's not enough, then nothing will be enough. So,
Prabhu, you mentioned this, that one who's in the mode of goodness, they see everything in relationship to Dharma.
Yes.
And I've heard this before, that when a person protects Dharma, that Dharma protects them.
Yes.
Is this a mundane example, like in reference to Sarvam Dharmam Pratyaja? Does this, because I never really have heard Prabhupada make that statement, if you protect Dharma.
Oh.
I don't know if it's a
Yeah,
Vedic,
no, it's in the
Vedic
Vedas.
thing, or is it-
Yeah, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita. Yeah, it's in the Mahabharata. So, yeah, because it's Krishna's Vedic system. So, what happens if you protect Dharma, the demigods are satisfied, and you... Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, Devan bhavayata nena, te deva bhavayantu vaha, parasparam bhavayantaha, shreyam paramavapsyata. That the demigods being pleased with the yajna that the human beings are provided, the demigods get all their needs provided by that yajna. Te deva bhavayantu vaha. Parasparam, so this is parasparam, there is a interrelationship between the human beings and the demigods. Parasparam bhavayanta, shreyam, and then prosperity reigns for all. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. So, in that sense, dharma protects, because there's prosperity, there's protection, there's peace. All these qualities of the mode of goodness become manifest in human society, or in the individual also, when he's following. And in that sense, he feels protected. Like when the wife serves a qualified husband, she feels that protection. Her service becomes her protection. The service itself protects her. This is what it means. When the wife's chastity will protect her, she has a qualified husband, qualified protector. It will protect her. The service will protect her. If she doesn't do the service, she will lose her protection. So, in that sense, it makes sense. But now, in Krishna consciousness, dharma gets replaced by Krishna. Because ultimately, Krishna is dharma. There's a word. And or in Vishnu Sahasranam, one of the names of Vishnu is dharma. So for us, it is parodharma. Bhakti. That's the dharma. That devotional service protects us. Okay, Mataji's, anything? No. Okay. Yes, Jitagirish.
So wondering what the role of a chicken is in Vedic culture. Because you said,
It's a good question. I'm not from a village, so I don't know, but there's some use. That much I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean,
one thing is, people eat eggs also, and also it is a fact that chickens and goats and all are sacrificed for Kali and eaten. So, sorry. That's true. Roosters
are alarm clocks.
They roost.
Vamsi Prabhu is saying they're good for taking care of insect problems.
Insect problems, they definitely take. They eat all the worms and this and that, and run around eating worms and kinds of things. Their eggs are definitely consumed by those who are interested in eating meat. So yeah, I mean, in Vedic culture there are meat eaters also. But the point is that still the animals are more protected than they're eaten. Because the eating of meat happens only on specific days, and there's a whole procedure in how the meat is the animal is killed in front of, like this and like that. And so there's restriction. So there's more protection than exploitation. This is the point. Not like this. It's not like this kind of exploitation. But still, and in spite of all of that, there is a reaction for those who kill the animals. Mamsaha kadati iti mamsaha. Rishi? You have to ask someone who lives in a village. If they can tell you all these things. I'm another, city rascal. So what can I say? I don't have proper knowledge.
Just
we have to do research on these things.
He's saying it's alarm. That's what he's saying.
On the alarm, maybe. Okay. It's okay. Just stay. Huh? Oh, see? Alarm clock. Alarm clock. Yeah, there's chickens in Dwarka even, yeah. Dwarka is a city.
Just a small comment on the simplicity and then the lending the ear. Brigupati Prabhu told me that for book distribution, he was telling me that it's best to go to the most ghetto place because the people are more simple. And at that time in Kansas City, we were going to this like shopping center called the Plaza, where people are like really puffed up. They've like got a lot of money, and they wouldn't listen to us. And barely like any books would go out. It's hard to like stop anyone. But then after he said that, we went to this park in a really ghetto area, and there was like a gangster party going on where they've got the cars that jump, and like everyone has like a gun and is smoking and drinking and all that. And we walked up to a guy in the middle. This is the first guy we walked up to, and his car was the one playing the music. We're like, hey, we want to show you something. And he's all like decked out in some far out style, and it was kind of like frightening. But he turned around and he says, ain't nothing better than hearing what somebody's got to say. And after that, we gave books to like everybody there, and it was nice. We were inviting them to.
Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpa Prabhisya, Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha, Patitanam Pavane.
That's why the Walmarts are so good here.
You don't need to go to the market. You can look at them and say that the flags like be like the something.
He said that Krishna consciousness should become the religion of the blacks.
Right. Okay.
Who said that? Oh. We can do it.